Lord have mercy. Okay. All right. Whew. Nah, it's been a while since I've been on here, boy. Come on. It's the camera. Please. Okay. It's been a while since I've been on here. This camera ain't too good. Oh, my people, my people. This is Chief Eagle Spirit Dancing coming at you live and direct. Hey, brother, how you doing? Haven't been on in a while. Again, as you know me, I'm in and out. Got a lot going on, young brother. A lot going on. I'm trying to maintain my my sanity in this mad world that we live in today. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of different things that I want to talk about. Things that I've spoken about in the past, and to remind people, this current administration that is occupying the White House in D.C., they are bringing us to the end, the final chapter of this empire. And we are watching it in real time. The seriousness of today's subject matter, what I'm getting ready to get into, is something that a lot of people need to pay attention to, because this is life and death. The realization that we're going to end up going back in time almost overnight, meaning there was a time without electricity, a time without clean running water, a time without no supermarkets, a time without, well, you going back to the 17th century before the American currency was invented, where people had to go hunting for their food. This is a really serious and very dangerous time we're living, time that I have known for many years that was coming, because today's based on yesterday and tomorrow's based on today. Well, all you have to do is look at America's history and take the recognition that its history was bathed in the blood of the darker peoples. Period. This country was stolen property, and even their descendants to this very day, most, not all, it's a very small handful of them who acknowledge the theft that took place in acquiring this land, which we call America today. And for those few who do acknowledge that, they're ostracized, in some cases attacked, by their neighbors or family members. And Sister Shelly, I see you. How you doing, sister? I see you. So the marginalizing, however minute, small, there are white people that are coming out, and I'm watching and paying attention to this, that are speaking out. Is it enough? Not really. Not going to stop the almost inevitable. It's going to take a miracle, as it says in the book of Revelations. Only mitigating circumstances will get us out of this madness that we're headed towards. Okay, brother, I'll put it out there for you. This one is public. I'll put it out there for you. So it's mitigating circumstances is what the scriptures tells us in the last days of this empire, that would avoid a cataclysm unlike the world has never seen before in its history. So to the majority system and the way it's run, they say it's about what percent. That's still a lot. The numbers. You know, uh, it takes but a grain of sand to move the world. And we were taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that you don't need 10 men to change the world. One will do. And look who's in office. Donald J. Trump. And look what he's done in the less than almost 2 years that he's been in office now. Look what he's accomplished. Talking about he was the chosen one. No one seems to remember the speech that he gave before becoming president. Or it might have been right after. My memory is not as good. I'm 59 years old now. Y'all gotta bear with me. So he said that he was the chosen one. Chosen to do what? No one who is unlearned, mostly they don't ask the question, what did he mean by he's the chosen one? Chosen to do what? Well, if you look in the scripture, in the book of Exodus, God put Pharaoh, the last Pharaoh, to end Egypt. I would suggest to my listeners who follow this channel, go read the entire book of Exodus, the entire book, and go get the old 1611 King James Version. Now, the reasons why you see Canada, thank you for them hearts. Thank you for them hearts. Thank you for them hearts. The reasons why you see Canada now, they're threatening people from reading the King James Version, and burning. They having burning book parties. Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden now, because people are waking up, particularly the darker peoples, and their place and fitting in throughout the scriptures, because they've always told us, through their illustrations, their pictures of a white Jesus, through movies, like with Ben-Hur and the 10 Commandments. Come on. They've been lying to us for the past, 70, 80 years since television, and even before then, through their verbiage, they had told us that the peoples from the scriptures were white. There were no darker peoples there whatsoever, which is absolutely ridiculous. So now they're banning the Bibles in Canada and other places because people who are reading and doing comparative investigations and research are coming to the conclusions, oh, wait a minute, something is not right here. There is a greater truth that has been misunderstood or misread, or people have been lied to and took things on but verbatim by what other people have said or mentioned. And even some blind Negroes who have read the scriptures have been fooled or deceived, and have laid claim to that. Yeah, Jesus was white, or he was not a man of color, and therefore laying the groundwork for deceptions to roll like a snowball, going downhill. And so it has been for so long. But now that that window is cracking now, and they're scared because Black people, brown people are no longer listening to the buffoonery, the coonery, and the blatant lies that have been told to us for so long. So the chosen one by God to dismantle this last empire from the Babylonian, Greek, Roman empires that still exist, that he would be the one to dismantle this regime once and for all. Why? As it says that the Israelites would be vexed and upset with God because of the pain and suffering that it would bring in the separation process. You know, you say, what do you mean? We're going to separate? Well, they're lynching black people all over the South again. Look, and this is hard for me. You got to bear with me on this one. One of my homies that I grew up with, one of my brothers, he had a stroke a few weeks ago. And me and him, we from the Bronx. We grew up together. And he's down in Georgia. He has been down in Georgia for the past almost 25 years now, or more, actually, no, more, almost 30 years, excuse me. And less than a mile from his house, they found a brother hanging in the park. And he called me just 3 days prior, and he was upset. And I understood the brother's pain. You don't understand what black men are going through, but black people in general, but black men who feel almost helpless to do anything about this beast that's hanging our people across the country. So my man called me, and I heard the excitement in his voice, and he calls me because he knows that I'm on the same page with him. It's a miracle that I haven't had a stroke. I'm 59, my man is 58. So he had just called me 3 days prior, was telling me how he was feeling. He was upset, and I had told him to try to relax. I understand the pain. Brothers are being lynched, sisters are being lynched, children are being lynched. And so 3 days after that, I got a call from his wife. He had a massive stroke. He's still alive, thank God, but he's in serious condition. And I had to literally take a break from, because I pay attention to everything that's going on with regards to our people. I'm watching. And of course, it's hard to maintain one's sanity in a world full of malicious, hateful, brutal, barbaric people. Now, I'm not just talking about, white folks, because some of our own, I was just listening to a report. I think this is down in, was it Georgia or Florida? One of the two states. This brother was upset because he was having problems with his children's mother. He had two little baby girls. This was on YouTube, and I saw it earlier. It was in the news, and he went and drank up a whole pint of vodka, and he ended up going to his baby's mother's house. The two little girls came running out to hug him. Then they ran back inside. He got into an altercation with his baby's mother at the front door. He pulls out a gun and shoots her and the two kids, his own little girls. I got to point this out because we as a people, see, the Master Fard Muhammad told our people in 1930 when he spoke to Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I want y'all to hear me on this one. He told us that God, Allah, is coming to bring justice to two peoples, black and white. So that means that he's coming for our people as well, meaning some of us are going to get caught up in the judgments, and the judgments are here. I'm going to get into that later. So this brother shot his baby's mother, two little girls, baby's mother and one of the little girls in critical condition. The other little girl is dead. Over some beef or problems that he had with her. And he went and killed one of his little girls. And I hope the mother and the other little girl survived. I don't care what kind of problems you have, and just walk away. It's not worth it. But our people, some of us, I don't get it. We don't seem to recognize that some of us become our own worst enemy. And then you see these racist white folks sit back, and when they see us killing each other like that, they're smiling from ear to ear. So we have to cut out the violence amongst our own before we can literally just call out the violence that these people are perpetrating upon our people, because they've been doing this time immemorial. They've been practicing on our people for over 100 and well, actually over 200, 300 years or more. You know, so we have to come to some kind of consensus where when you see your brother and sister in the street, you know, or if you got problems with family members or whatever the case may be, is, man, listen, man, just walk away. You know, don't invite trouble, the unnecessary trouble, because we have enough of it as it is. But you know, I digress. So getting back to what I was talking about with my homeboy, you know, his name is Saul, aka Roscoe Henson. It's my man. Don't you understand? When we grew up together, you know, we were inseparable, you know, not just, you know, physically, but mentally and spiritually in our studies. You know, we came out the 5% Nation of Islam. We studied, you know, tremendously. But to see my brother go down that way, and he's only 58, tore at my heartstrings. But there are so many of our brothers and sisters now who are suffering behind the computer, watching these things unfold throughout the country, and feel helpless as though we can't do anything about it. Yes, we can. We can. Stay vigilant in our communities, stay right. You know, little BS arguments that we have amongst ourselves, squash it. Turn away from it, because our Lord, our God, who is currently here, you guys are paying attention. Notice the weather. Notice the weather is changing, not for the better. You know, I get feedback from people saying, "Oh, well, you know, it's Mother Nature, global warming." God, from what I know, the God that I know that's here, and He's real, just like I'm talking to you. They are the conductors. They are conducting and directing these irregular weather patterns that are taking place. The weather that we see, the changes in temperature and all that, the so-called planet heating up, excuse me, is a direct result of pollution. Yes, pollution and the negative and destructive interaction on the planet. The corporations dumping pollution and poisons into the water, into the atmosphere. Of course, there's going to be a reaction. For every cause is an effect. For every action is an equal and opposite reaction. But God Himself is directing these weather patterns, as I learned from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But God, turn to Allah, brother. Turn to Allah. Turn to Allah. Not me. Not me. So this what they call anomalous weather, irregular weather patterns, they have no clue. And most won't, and until it's too late. And then preparations. How many people are preparing for devastating weather? See what's going on right now in Illinois, Indiana. This is nothing still compared to what's coming. Wind and rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. God said in the book of Revelations, I'm going to cast out nations before you. Now, who are these nations? All right. If I was a betting man, some of these racist countries, and if I had to guess, okay, but you're going to see, I hear you, sister, but it's going to be some unusual. Remember, you guys got, what was it, a few years ago? You got a cold spell that came through that killed many people in their homes because they were unprepared for the weather, the temperatures that dropped below freezing for many days, and people were scratching their heads wondering Well, why? Whoa, wait a minute. Well, what's this? What's going on here? Um, so yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's going to get worse around the country. But again, God said he's going to cast out these nations. And why? Because they have drank of the wine of the fruit of fornication, meaning that the governments have been in bed with our government here. And I'm hailing from Connecticut now. I'm from New York, but I'm up in Connecticut. So meaning that they have lived, their governments have lived lavishly off of selling their own people out in their countries for profit. And then people wonder why, like my brother is the FBA, the Foundational Black Americans. Now I call myself a Black American Indian, right? Is that my original title? Hell no. But I'm indigenous. My people's from North and South Carolina. Oh, fine. But this system has been designed to go and destroy the lives of the darker peoples around the globe. That's what America is kind of predicated upon. Look how they came here from Europe and what they did here to our peoples here. They went and kidnapped people, from other countries, whether in Africa or the Caribbean, indigenous peoples. My history tells me that they started, and this is Christopher Columbus. Most people don't pay attention to this. Christopher Columbus was responsible for the enslavement of the Arawaks, the Caribs, the Calusa. They don't talk about that enslavement. They used them to search for gold, going in mines, digging, and also for other laborious, work to build them their homes or their agriculture. Because of course, when the Europeans came here, they didn't know how to grow food, or at least sustain it without the help of who? The indigenous peoples, who taught them how to grow their agriculture the right way. So no one talks about the indigenous, so-called Indians. And I don't like to use that word, but we never called ourselves that. So they enslaved them first, stolen land, and a lot of them died off because of the diseases that they were not, used to. And as a result, of course, the people, a lot of them died out, and the ones that did not, well, I can sit here and say, me being Black and indigenous, that all of our people did not die out. Some of us were just reclassified. The names, the ethnicities were changed. Because, come on. When I was growing up, I was raised Black American, period. That's what my mother told me. My adopted mother, who's my cousin. So overall, we have been lost to a certain part of history with regards to how things have unfolded, and that the current landscape and how things are today, we don't know, because we haven't been given the true history. A lot of it has been omitted. There's been fabrications, and people wonder why there's so much confusion today. There's so much confusion today. But you see, the God that I know is going to lay all of that out, because guess what? When you need food, when you need water, when you need shelter, all of that arguing about whose culture is better, whose religion is better, all of that's going to fly out of the window. So he's going to level the playing field. I want y'all to hear me, because this is serious. This is serious. I see people, I've been saying this for so long, so many people are arguing and fighting over who's right and what's right. Man, forget all that. You need to see who your open enemy is, who's lynching and hanging out people. He don't give a god damn where you come from. You could come from Haiti, you could come from Africa, you could come from the Caribbean. If you got pigmentation, he don't want you. And he's using, look at this. Think about this. He's using ICE agents that are people of color. But there was a clip that I wanted to show in a movie called The Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood and the Prince of Thieves, but with Kevin Costner. Because there's a clip in that movie. I'm going to suggest all of you go check it out. This is the one from 1990 or 1991. There's a clip in there about the sheriff of Nottingham when he was being bombarded by Robin and his crooks in the woods, and he had to come up with a plan to overcome them. What was his plan? His mother, the witch, said to him, she said, draw upon the power of the Vandals and the Visigoths. And he was like, these people, they eat the dead of their young. They're despicable. And then he thought about it. He said, wait a minute. He said, oh, wait. He said, but they're like hired mercenaries, hired thugs, right? And they were the same color as the people that he was going to hire these people to go kill. So he hired these thugs, what they call like the Conan the Barbarians. And these people were real. Contrary to what most people don't know, Vandals. That term Vandal, which is comes from the word vandalism, that was a real tribe in Europe. Yes. Berbers, Visigoths, these were people that lived in the hillsides. They were barbarous people. And he hired them to go after Robin. So now here we are. Listen, here we are. You see ICE. These people are, some of them are black, some of them brown, some white. Trump think he's slick. I see right through that bullshit. I see right through it. You're playing with me. Am I fear for my life? Do I fear for my life? Hell no. Because I know the God that's here. And these people not gonna be around too much longer anyway. They don't know that the anger, the power of Almighty God, Allah, is here. They don't know what they have unleashed. And now up here in Connecticut, I'm gonna give you guys an example. For the past week and a half, we've had storms up here, constant, every other day, constant. Still now, we got clouds outside, rain that has flooded my yards. It's getting worse. I've never seen anything like this before. Have I anticipated? Yes, that's why I got a boat. Yeah, so I got a boat. Yeah, I got a boat in my garage. Just in case. I have prepared for these times. Because the end is going to come so fast. So fast. These things are going to take place. The date, the hour, I don't know. Only God himself knows. I will not pretend to act like I know that. I don't. All I know is that I'm like Noah. I've been preparing for years. And what most people don't know about Noah is that he had been telling the people this death and destruction was come by way of flood for 150 years. He had been warning the people, and they laughed at him. They said, you're crazy. Until the clouds pulled up. And then the rains, the floods took over. And of course, people died because they took heed not. So, yes, I would like, brothers and sisters who listen, go out there, study, do some research as much as you can, and make sure you guys get yourselves prepared because, as the minister said, this country is going on a rocket ship straight to hell. A lot of people ain't gonna make it. The egregious error of white people. God, come on, we gotta pin the tail on the donkey. The egregious act, the last act that they committed was voting for this man. And they have exposed white America in terms of the racism that I've always known exists since I was a teenager. And I wish anybody would come talking about, well, all white people. Like I said, I did not say all white people were like that. Don't misinterpret my words. But where are the good white people fighting against the ones January 6th that went down to the Capitol to climb the walls? All those hundreds of thousands of people that were out there to look for Biden. Who was it they was looking for? And Pence, Mike Pence, and the rest of them. Where are they at? Huh? These good white people talk about, we got to stop these people. Y'all ain't doing nothing. They talk about, oh, we got to wait till November. Trump is trying to start a nuclear war. You know, he's actively and aggressively pushing to take away from the resistance. Now, there is a righteous resistance, don't get me wrong, but is it enough? That's the question that needs to be. Is it enough? You know, you have a bully in a yard. A bully goes around because he's big and he's bad. He think he could just go beating up on anybody until that bully runs into somebody bigger and badder than himself and puts that bully down. Not by saying, please, Mr. Bully, would you stop doing what you're doing? No. I'm going to show you that you're not going to be able to do this anymore. We're going to put you down. So where are these white people that, you know, because again, when they wanted to get rid of Biden, when they went after Mike Pence for not going along to get along, you know, they went to the Capitol with violence in mind, and in fact, multiple Capitol police officers died as a result of that. They don't call it murder though. Had they not have gone there that day, those officers would still be alive today, but they don't call it murder. I mean, the reality of right and wrong is so a foregone conclusion today. It's almost despicable. People can't see the difference. So where are we headed? In the ditch. If people don't stand up, you know, and I'll be honest with you, this isn't black and brown people's fight. This is white folks' fight. In other words, another civil war. Because that's what it boils down to. Another civil war. And this is what some of them fear. But, you know, again, history is something else. Today based on yesterday's, tomorrow's based on today. When the Civil War fought allegedly over slavery, or that was maybe one of the reasons why, there were other reasons that were involved. That was something that wasn't just, you know, one particular thing that caused the Civil War to start. It was economics and other, you know, politics. And when the North beat the South, allegedly, because they had slavery up north too, it was a different type of slavery. When the North beat the South, what did they do to the generals who were, what did they call it, these people? Secessionists. So they were secessionists against the order, which was the United States, not the Southern Confederate States. So what did they do to these people after the war ended? Absolutely nothing. So now people are shocked. Here we are, 100 and almost 60 years later, and the Confederates had been waiting. The Confederates had been salivating, waiting for an opportunity to do what? To get back into power, to take over. Now, isn't it the irony of Trump's family, who is part German, because his original name wasn't Trump, it was Drumpf, his family, and that I think it was his grandfather, who was a Klan sympathizer, who lived in Queens, New York, and who also fought against the police when the Klan marched through Queens. They were marching, and he got into an altercation with police officers because he was in support of the Klan. Isn't that interesting? And these people play games with the lives of our people. These are very, very, very dark days that we are in. But what I just wanted to clarify again, our hands are not totally clean either. And that we must recognize that we must get right with our people and get right with the God that is here for our people. Understand that before the white man came amongst our people, hear me on this. Whether some of us were pagans, we worshiped maybe the wrong things, the wrong gods, because God said, there shall be no other God. You shall worship no other gods before me. That's a heavy statement. But we always say that there's many gods. Yeah, there is. But the one true God, the original God, he said, you shall have no gods before me. I happen to call him Allah, because my mind goes back, through the ancient times, and when I say that, I'm not talking about 6,000 years, because that's not how old the earth is. The earth is trillions of years old. Most people are oblivious. They don't know the exact number. Even I don't, but I know this. I'm going to say it again. The planet Earth is trillions of years old. You're going to lie and say that the Earth was made 6,000 years ago, but you pull bones and you do carbon dating and you say you found out that Australopithecus is 1.4 million years old in your carbon dating methods. So somebody's telling some big lies. You're going to tell me that the Grand Canyon is one of the 7 wonders of the world because you're still wondering how it got like that? Well, in my lessons, we know how it got that way. That's why we have a moon. I'm just going to leave it there with that. So he has omitted, lied, and also because he doesn't have the full knowledge of the history himself, but our people need to take the time out to study and investigate. Go listen to Minister Farrakhan. I've been listening to him since 1985. Yeah, since I was 18 years old, and I've learned so much. But there's times that I feel like my head is about to explode with the information that I have received, and that it's like a balloon that under pressure it's going to pop. So I have to release it from time to time. But again, and I digress, and forgive me if I'm ranting. My people got to understand that the time is here now. We're at the end. I don't like to bring or to be a bearer of bad news, but this is implored upon me. God said that we have to tell and warn our people that they must do everything in their power to prepare for that which is coming and is already here. If you can't see it, you need to wake up. This administration doesn't care about anybody. Not even some of their own people. You see what they did with that plane exercise the other day he had, where they were supposedly going on a trip, and they got word that that plane was being targeted, and Trump got off with only a select few, and he left the others. What's her name? Caroline Levitt. She just resigned. Why? Because he found out that she was expendable. Caroline Levitt was expendable. I mean, come on. You're dealing with demons here. These people are. So, if he doesn't care about his own, what do you think they think about us? I think, 600, they said 600,000 black women lost their jobs between Trump getting elected and the current date. So in the book of Exodus, it says, my people who do not realize or recognize and understand that had they better turn their tents into one another. They had better acknowledge themselves as their own best source of survival, that we are going to perish. So what does that mean? Turning our businesses, networking amongst our people, right? Working with each other. Well, you must have trust. You must have trust and honesty and respect and courtesies and professionalism in order to succeed. And then with the knowledge of self, our people will become humble and learn to effectively deal with one another on a business level. And this is important because without those parts there that it's in the spirit, it's in the human spirit, we're not going to be successful in anything that we do. This is it goes without saying. I know I've been in a couple of business relationships that have failed, and I've learned from some of those failures. And I've learned also that, again, some of our own people, the trust factor is fleeting. This is a part of the Willie Lynch saga. We were set up to hate each other, set up to destroy each other before we even get things off the ground. We were destroyed as a people because, you hear in the background some nigga talking about me over there. I don't want to, we always got some backbiting, or someone is involved in some shady dealings behind closed doors, and either for money, and God said we can't live by bread alone. So that's why we have to integrity. We have to, even the white man until now, because now you're starting to see cracks. You're starting to see cracks in his working and his business. Everything that he's doing is starting to crack because falsehoods cannot last forever. Deceptions will start to break open and the truth will come through. So we must learn from these things in order to rebuild a better community, a better civilization for ourselves, because civilization does not come without these things that I just mentioned. You can have the most pristine house and mansion, but the people that live in that house ain't no good. So how long will that house last? I saw a video the other day, man. Killed his 4 children and his wife. Called the police, and then waited for the cops to get there. Bang, killed himself. Whoa. That's because some people are starting to see there's no future. So all of these things are mentioned in the book of Revelations. Talks about the violence that would increase right before its end. It would be multiplied right before its end. So you're starting to see more and more of violent episodes taking place around the country. Another guy in Houston, somebody just came out randomly and started shooting at cars again. We saw this up in Boston just a few weeks ago. Another man out in the street shooting at cars just passing by. People asking the questions. I don't know what's wrong with people. I'm going to say this. When you build your house, it cannot be upon shaky ground. You have to have a firm and durable foundation. And that foundation is not wood, steel, or marble. That foundation is integrity, trust, and hard work, responsibility, and reciprocity. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad once said, that all religion in life is do unto your brother as you'd have him do unto you. With that, we can live eternally. All it takes is one weak link in that chain to break everything up and destroy the whole thing. And here we are. We're facing the end. So the foundation right now in this country is being crippled, falling under the weight of its own inaccuracy because of its foundation. It was never built on righteous beginnings. It was built on everything that is wicked and destructive. And as you have sown, so shall you reap. And here we are. Here we are. Violence all around, east, west, north to south. Conflicts breaking out. The Ku Klux Klan on the move. The new Black Panther parties on the move. The government preparing for unrest. America's always been at unrest. So people shouldn't be surprised at what we're about to face and what we are facing now. Yeah, every day now in Houston. Yeah, it's listen, there are places, listen, right now, the mainstream media, they're squelching a lot of information. They're not reporting a lot of things that are going on around the country. And I have to say this with some pride that, you know, some of the Black mainstream media journalists that are out there, they're doing their due diligence and they're reporting. You know, I have to get out to Brother Taylor of Publishing, and like, hey, Brother Don Lemon, you know, who is a bona fide, you know, journalist. But we have to rely on our people for true reporting. There's not many mainstream white media outlets that would open up the portals to let us know what's going on. And we're going to have to force them by those of us who are reporting these things that are currently going on and are constant now. And it is an extreme danger that we don't know, because let me tell you, look, there's so many people walking around with their heads in the clouds. Did you hear about the lynching? Some people look at me, what's lynching? What's that? So, yeah, parents still not talking to their children, letting them know what's going on in this country. From what I'm hearing, you got roving bands of white men in vans kidnapping people. So where do you think how do you think our people getting kidnapped and being hung? They want us to still believe today that these things are not going on. Really. and the process is that we must break the chains of stupidity and ignorance and blindness. I mean, literal blindness. I ain't talking about the two eyes. It's the common sense. And history is so important for us to remember, because as it says, those who do not learn from history are condemned to repeat it. Okay, so now that means that our children shall suffer because mommy and daddy did not take the time out to go tell their children, listen, not all people are bad, but you got some really wicked ones out there who would kill you in a split second, hang you from trees. I realized this from 1985 when I fought Italians. I had to call it that, but that's what it was. There was an Italian Albanian community we was walking through coming home, and they saw us walking home, me and my homeboys, and you know, what you niggas doing around here? And they beat up with 7 of them. They beat up 20 young brothers, you know, because I was about 18 at the time. And the younger boys that they beat up, brothers that were walking through, they running bloody, screaming, these white guys are chasing us. It was 20 of them. You know, we couldn't believe our eyes. They was bloody, beaten. And they said, where are they? They're down the street. And we heard, nigga, get out of the community. I want y'all to hear me. They said, nigga, this is 1985 in the Bronx. And that wasn't my first encounter. But me and my homeboys didn't run. We faced them. And we ran their behinds out of their own neighborhood. I grew up with some Rough Riders growing up. We didn't play that shit. We didn't play that. We wasn't running from nobody. But they ended up going into after we beat them and we left, they went into a local White Castles at that time, and they beat up some of the black people that was sitting there having. Then one of my homeboys was in there with his girlfriend. Didn't know. They tried to beat him up. He fought. My man Vern was no joke. He fought back. But see, this is one of the reasons why I've never forgotten, and because of my lessons that are taught, that teaches our people who this man is. I've never forgotten that. And that's why I'm always on guard. Hey, what? Get back to work. Some white people followed me home and took photos of you. Yeah. Just be on your guard. Listen, our time of coming out of Babylon is twofold. People got to understand this. It's not one aspect that we would leave Babylon physically, but we bring all of her evil spirits with us. You can't leave somewhere and that you have been programmed and indoctrinated to think and act like a bitch, nigga, and a hoe. Excuse my language, but I got to call it what it is. And expect to be free. You must change your patterns of thought. Malcolm X spoke on this fluently. In order for you to change your habits, you must change the way you think. In other words, you must know that which you are opposed to what you have been taught that you are. Yes, we are the gods and goddesses. We are the queens and kings. But we act like niggas, bitches, and hoes. That's what I said we, including myself. So we must change. And that only comes through gnosis study. I've spoken on this so many times, so many videos. But most of us don't want to take the time out to read nothing, research nothing. And then some of us who do read and study and research, we become arrogant within our own right about who we are. Black people are not monolithic, even in our ethnicity. I got to point this out. We have different cultures, different languages. We come from all over the planet Earth. Are you serious? I call myself black. Some people got problems with that. That's what I was raised. I ain't got no problems with that. I'm black indigenous, yes. Right? I can catch a beat. I know how to dance. I can articulate. I have a business of my own. And I work. And I know my history very well. So I'm not one of those who are dead and unconscious. I know that the kaleidoscope of colors of our people doesn't define who we are. People don't understand that black is not a color. It's a basis from which all colors come from. But I come from that base. I know my grandfather's dark skin, black. I'm not going to deny him. Anyone else? Am I a Negro? Hell no. There's some still a Negro. You got people running around here talking about, oh, we come from a place called Niger, and the word Negro means they had some alternative definition. Well, from my definition, the word Negro comes from the word, and Malcolm X explained this one, comes from the word necro, which comes from the word necropolis, which means a cemetery, through the Greek translation. Now, however, that before that translation, that word might have come from a different origin in terms of language that might have come from black and brown people. That's another argument for another day. White folks went into the East, and they went into Egypt, the Germans, and they found what they call the swastika, right? Which has many different terms and definitions, because the Germans used it to justify their hate against their own Jewish brethren, right? But we know that that symbol meant it represented the four winds: fire, earth, water, air, right? And because of their usage, now the symbol today is, oh, that's a German, because the world has been what? Deceived by whom? Wicked white people who use a symbol for their own nefarious and dirty, wicked purposes. So here we are again today, fighting over terms. You got the FBAs again. I love my foundational Black American brothers. That's where I come from. I got brothers in my family, dark skin, that look like me. My actual blood relatives. So I'm gonna hate that which I come from. But I'm not going to turn around and spew hate for another people who have been manipulated, deceived, run out of their country, and they came here illegally. Okay, a lot of them came here illegally. You understand that? But you gotta go to the root. Why did they come here? A lot of their political governments have been undermined by who? I mean, who's responsible for that? Come on, common sense will ultimately prevail in most people to see that, and this is why history is important, that these people were running from war-torn conflicts because their governments were compromised by foreign adversaries that came into their country, and then they fled to America, or they went to England. And then people want to look at now the West Indies, and listen, where I'm from, I grew up around West Indians and Jamaicans. Do we have problems? Everybody got problems. I know Black Americans fighting in conflict with each other, killing each other. But now we're pointing fingers at the Jamaicans, at the West Indians, saying that, oh, they need to go back and fix their country. See, this is where, again, history is so important, so that you are not manipulated so easily by a system that wants to see you fighting with your brothers from the Caribbean, from Africa. They want you, and they want to see conflict. Get them out of here, get them out of here, as though you were so holy and righteous that you could not see the own problems that you have in your own Black American communities. I've worked with some West Indians, and yes, I have been betrayed by some West Indians, but no more so than some of my own. So I'm gonna do hate everyone. I gotta remind people, this is stolen land. Never anything good gonna come out of stolen property. It never does. This country is only what, 250 years old? So they say 1619, right? That's more like 400 years. Okay, so it's establishment, 1776. Because the English, the Spanish, and the French were fighting for who was going to steal the country from the indigenous peoples first. Well, I guess the English. But people don't know or remember that during the 1800s, when there was rebellions taking place as a result of backlashes from the people who were being enslaved that white folks, they feared because of the allyship or the unification between some of the so-called Africans and the indigenous peoples, the so-called Indians. They saw that there was a kinship developing there. I know because I'm born from that. A kinship developing there. And that kinship turned into a fighting force that the European had never seen before. And he had to do everything to put a stop to it. So, what did he do? In the Caribbean, there were rebellions that took place. In Haiti, was called Haiti. Haiti, that was the name of the whole country before it was renamed. And what did they do after the rebellion? Two of the generals, what was his name? The Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines. They started arguing on how to pick up the pieces from the battle that they won, the war that they won against who? The Spaniards and the French. They hung their captors and slavers, but at the end of it could not come to a consensus on how they were going to rebuild the country. Toussaint said, we need the the French to help us rebuild. Dessalines is like, yeah, you crazy? We just hung these people and we beat them and we freed ourselves. So we know where this argument went. Not in a good way. They waited, plotted, waited for an opportunity. They arrested Dessalines and deported him to an island where I heard he was eaten by rats. Toussaint, I guess over time he got too old. The Catholic Church, the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church, don't y'all hear me? Oh, hold on 1 second. My battery is going dead. 1 second. Uh-oh. I forgot I didn't plug my thing. The Catholic Church intervened and they said to French and the Spaniards, stop fighting amongst yourselves, because they were battling over territory. And they told them to split the country in half. And they said, where the darker ones are, Catholic Church now, they told them call that part Haiti and keep the darker ones over here, the lighter ones like my complexion and lighter. They said give them to the Spaniards and call that area the Dominican Republic. So they stopped fighting and split up and divided the land. Put the darker ones and lighters. We want to know why the Dominican Republic has racism. The Dominican Republic comes from the word domo, which means to dominate. And they dominated the minds because they took the children, because these people were now in the custody of who? The Spanish. And then on Haiti, the other side of the island, now the French control that part. And these French bastards got some nerve to say that Haiti owes them reparations because of their losses. I mean, the gall, the absolute arrogance. This is recent I'm talking about. Them saying that they owe. They have to pay. And so Haiti is in turmoil. Again, today's based on yesterday, tomorrow's based on today. So people are wondering why all of these things are happening. There has been no solution, no substantive solution to these issues that who created? We didn't create these problems, they did. So now, Colombia, earthquakes. And this is, I'm going to get ready to close out with this. Colombia, Venezuela. You got the indigenous populations in these countries that live outside and apart from the cities in these countries down in Central and South America. And I've been here for a long time that they've been fighting with their half conquistador brothers who live and govern in Central South America, and for their right to live as their ancestors have in their tribal communities. It's always been conflict. There ain't nothing new. It's going all the way back to the 13th, 14th centuries when the Europeans first came to the Caribbean, and when they landed on the shores of South America, Central America, and then ultimately North America. So the governments have lived lavishly, and only to find out now that they're being turned on against. Nobody asked the question what happened in Venezuela, where the government went there and snatched up. They just snatched up the president and his wife. No backlash. You know, what was the response? How come there wasn't a major outcry? Or if there was, we don't hear much about it. I don't think that the people realize how much in bed these people were with our government. That's why the scripture says, those that have drank from the wine of fornication have lived lavishly. So when you go to bed with the devil, you're gonna wake. You might not wake up. You know, so these people are in and have been in collusion for a very long time. But all good things come to an end. So now the earthquakes, the weather. My closing. I want to give thanks to Allah for allowing me to speak today, because He's the only God that I pray to. My God that I know is not a spirit. He's real, and they are here. But I wanted to say that these weather anomalies, these things that are unfolding before us, these are God sent. And people ask the question, you know, especially some of my Christian family, they say, well, why would God destroy us? He's waited for us to change for a very long time. He sent warners amongst the people, angels. I ain't talking about a Love's commercial with the diapers and babies flying. I'm talking about good human beings, people who are knowledgeable and go to speak to our people. But what do our people do? Yeah, get that black stuff out of here. I don't want to hear none of that. Niggas, bitches, and hoes. How long have we turned away from God and His angels and those who were sent to warn our people of our transgressions against who? Ourselves. You say, okay, well, yeah, you know, we didn't know who we were. All right, there's an excuse there. We didn't know who we are. But for how long? When someone comes and brings you the wisdom, the knowledge, and brings it to your doorstep, but you reject it. You got something better? The Catholic Church hasn't done anything for us. What's Christianity done for us? And I'm not disparaging my Christian family, because I grew up in the Christian church. I said, what has it done for our people? We got churches everywhere, street corners and parishes and towns. But yet our people are still suffering under the yoke of economic oppression and racism. The church is divided. You don't see black and white churches integrated. Where? One or two people that might be white go to a black church? If this is supposed to be one whole Christian family, then how come the black and white churches are not integrated? Because they will never bow down to a black or brown Jesus. Never. Never. Even though it tells him in the scriptures that he is a brother of color. So what's the problem? Our people refuse to wake up and recognize that even in the human body, I want you to hear me on this, even in the human body, there is such thing called an immune system that when attacked by foreign germs, the immune system goes into action and fights off the invading army to restore order and normalcy in the body. So what happened to us? The lack of unity, lack of respect, lack of understanding. So many different things as to the reasons why our immune system has been broken down to its core, and that we don't see anything fundamentally good when we come together to fight. Now, in history, have our people fought back against racism? Yeah. Have there been strides that were made through the civil rights era? Yeah. But the backdrop to that is we fell asleep. And so the disease called racism, white supremacy, is festering. Shit, I remember 1981. I think it was South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, or Georgia. A young brother walking down the street. I think 2 or 3 white men in a truck. They grabbed him up and hung him on a tree right on the street. This is 1981. I was 14 years old at the time. And of course, when I got a little bit older, I saw it and fought the Italians. That's what stayed with me over the years. There were, like I said, there were other incidents in my time, but my point is, when do we wake up? And that we are the Gumar Oz and Dumar of this world. It's lowercase G-O-D. That says in the book of Psalms, the 82nd chapter, verse 1 through 6. God said, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the most high God. Capital G-O-D. We're lost and confused. I have no understanding. Our comprehension has been compromised. We can't see. This is what Yeshua was talking about 2,000 years ago. He said, you have eyes to see, but you do not comprehend. Well, so are you saying that we are gods? Yeah, we are. The black, the brown, the red, and the yellow. The last one was white. Produced from black people. The connection to the universe and the earth, the black, the brown, the red, and yellow people were more connected to a universal rhythm. White people were the last ones who came that everything that was natural, I'm going to say it again, everything that was natural was unnatural to them. That's why when you look at the food and you read the ingredients, artificial flavors, natural flavors, preservatives, chemicals of all sorts in our food. I ain't lying. So I mean, have I told a lie here yet? Anybody still listening? So we know who these people are. And sadly enough, the wicked ones are ruling. And they have been waiting for a very long time to get back in that position so they can mete out all of their hate upon our people. And they're doing just that. So our God is here because he has not forsaken us. In spite of a lot of our people rejecting, he has not forsaken us. But be prepared. Be prepared for death and destruction. It's already started. And be prepared for the unraveling of this country. I would like to thank my brothers and sisters for listening, and hope that I was able to enlighten. And you had to forgive me for my outbursts at times. You know, it's just the spirit sometimes it takes me. You know, again, I am in a grieving time right now. As I told you, one of my homeboys is in the hospital recovering from a great stroke. And his recovery is going to take months, if not maybe years, for him to recover. And hopefully we have enough time for him to do that. I pray, because this country is teetering on a cliff, you know, bouncing back and forth, getting ready to fall. It could happen anytime. So I hope I was able to give some insight into or some better understanding as to what's coming, what's going on in today, because it's much needed. Some of our people are lost, confused, have a lot of questions, and please, Sister Shelley, you know, if you have any questions for me, please ask. Anybody else on here, if you have any questions, I will try to be clear and as cooperative as I can. If not, going to say, okay, so Shelly is still there. Brother Anthony, like he's gone. It's been a while since I've been on here. Said I wasn't going to come back on live, anticipating so much from what I've read. You know, you guys can imagine that my studies have brought me to this point in my life where, when you know and understand what the future holds, and it ain't good, that could be a hell of a existence. You know, and when you see the destruction that's taking place within our communities, and the people don't see what we are doing to ourselves, and the God that's here wants to get our attention, how it affects the person who's carrying that information. Some people have lost their minds. Of the knowledge that I have, some people have lost their minds. My grounding came the day when I saw that vessel over my house in June of 2009 in New York. That's when I knew God was with us. He's here in the flesh. And he's not what they've been reporting, aliens with gray skin and bulbous eyes. They're lying about that. They're doing that to deceive the masses of people. And in some cases, they have been successful. In some cases, some people are just so far gone, they have no clue as to who these beings are that they're seeing in the skies with these cylindrical objects that they call UFOs, or UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and all of these things that we misinterpret or misunderstand as being aliens. So who told you that? Who told you that these are alien? What is an alien? Don't they say that people who come across the border are aliens? Come on, make up your mind. You know, when you listen to their sense, when they explain themselves, you catch them. If you're paying attention, you catch them every time. But they're not fooling this one. Not this one. You know, God knew that he was going to bring me home without the deception, without the lies. I knew from when I was 9 years old, there was a God. I didn't know who he was, where he was. Now I know who he is and I know where he is. So they can't pull that small time stuff over on me. I am awake. I am woke, contrary to what they don't like. They talk about wokeness as it's some sort of disease that needs to be cut out. Yeah, come cut us out, because your time is up. And the days of deceiving the masses are over. And the lies that you have been telling for so long is cracking. The truth is breaking through the surface. Some of our people won't hear it no more. The number of the people that's supposed to have been left after this cataclysm, because there's a global war that's coming. It's supposed to be 144,000. This is what the prophets forewarned thousands of years ago. But wait, thought I heard thunder and lightning again. Might be a plane. So they forewarned that only 144,000 people will be left because this global resistance is growing against white supremacy and takeover. The white man says he ain't gonna let no nigga tell him what to do. That's what he's saying to himself and behind closed doors. Come on. Why do you think they hated our brother Yeshua so much? He knew their thinking. They don't ever want us to rule them. Ever. And if it's only a handful of them, a small handful of them, then, you know, well, let us go. Because we can't be bothered with your too few who are willing to accept, but so many are not. And are mumbling under their breaths. Nigga ain't gonna never tell me what to do. I'll be dead before I let that happen. This is what they're thinking. So let us go. Isn't that what Moses said to Pharaoh? And we're not leaving without substance, because this doesn't belong to you to begin with. So the God that promised our people, and he told, let my people go, but we are not leaving empty-handed. And if you do not give up property, substance to us, it will be taken away from you entirely. That is the promise from the God that I know. And I don't say that with any trepidation at all. I say that with 100% confidence and guarantee, because this is what the scriptures forewarned. And that's where we're heading to this very day. Again, thank you, brothers and sisters. Anyone has anyone to say, anything to say, ask me a question, anything, I'm here. But yeah, I'm not going to be on here too much longer. It's been an hour and 30. Wow, almost an hour and 30 minutes. Oh, anytime, sister. Anytime. Listen, every day I am, alive. I thank God for my life, my family. Um, but I know that I am responsible for disseminating knowledge that I have that He has given me, even through my suffering, my adoption, um, finding my family. God gave me something that not many people on earth have: a knowledge of Himself, not just Him, who He is and where He is. Not many people can claim that. Not many people tell you, "Oh, say God is everywhere." No, I know the God that I know. I know where He is, and they are here. Notice I said I know where He is, but they are here. I in singular and they in plural. I always leave that to my listening audience to figure it out, because it took me time to figure it out, and I did. See, those who have a carnal mind, just material, won't be able to see or understand the Father and the Spirit, and the knowledge go hand in hand. It says, "Fear not those who kill the body, but the spirit." What is the spirit, and what is it composed of? Direction, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So when you have that mental fortitude, that testicular fortitude, as my brother Minister Farrakhan put it so eloquently, don't fear. Don't fear what? I've been on the front lines before anyway. People look and say, "Oh, you are an armchair computer." No, I've been out in the streets on the front line. I have put my life on the line many times. I fear God. I fear Allah. I don't fear nothing else. That's why I speak the way I do. So anyway, thank you, Sister Shelley, and hopefully I'll be on here. I don't know, maybe another month, a few months. I don't know. All I know is this. I'll say this closing. Please, please, please stock up your food and your water. Stock up your food and water, medical supplies. Get something in your house. Navy beans. Navy beans. Navy beans. Get the cans and the dry. Get yourself water, 5-gallon water jugs. Your medical supplies if you have any illness. Get yourself a portable generator, gas and solar. Gas and solar with a nice size solar panel. And don't wait another second. Stock your home. And if you can, I don't know where you are in the country because of the plagues that are hitting right now. The West Coast getting hit with fire. The East Coast, we getting hit here with rain, floods, and it's going to get worse. People are playing with this thing. They have no clue what's coming and what's already here. They don't know. People walking on in darkness. They have no clue. And a lot of people are going to die because they were just like in the days of Noah. Noah warned the people what was coming. They laughed until a dark cloud appeared, as the minister put it, and started to flood that entire region. Not the earth, not the entire earth. That was one big lie that they told, that the entire earth was encompassed within water. Yeah, okay, sure. So if you can, get yourself a blow-up boat, something. People forget what happened down in New Orleans, Louisiana, back in 2005. People forgot all the people that died. These things are more prevalent now than ever before. And these are the warning signs to really for government to tell them to back off, leave our people alone. But did Pharaoh listen? No. Pharaoh his heart became even more hardened when what? He saw what was happening to his country. So what did he do? He attacked the Israelites, the tribes of our people here. And that includes the lost tribes, the West Indians, the Haitians, lost people who speak who? What do they speak? They speak the white man's language, whether it's French, Spanish, or English. They lost their indigenous languages. They are of the tribes here, those who have suffered from the transatlantic slave trade. And you got some Negro, oh my God, you got some Negroes on here. They better not ever come on my page because I got the documents talking about, oh, there was no transatlantic slave trade. I wish they would come on my page. You better not disrespect me and my family. Oh, don't do that. Talking about that was a hoax. The audacity. So Black Americans on that, we don't care about, others that come here from other countries. Have there been disrespectful West Indians, Jamaica? Yes, they have. Of course. We don't have respect for one another regardless of where we come from. Because we don't know who God is. If we did, boy, we would act appropriately. A more humanistic approach to brotherhood and sisterhood. And because now niggas is talking about, oh, Lord, it got me started here again. Niggas is talking about, oh, they taking our jobs. You sound just like this cracker. He's taking what? The white man playing you like a puppet. Oh, and it pisses me off because you say you free, but you are begging for a job from a man that can't stand you. Go figure. Makes absolutely no sense. You're smart, go out there and create a job for yourself. We come from God, don't we? Create work for yourself. Islam is an acronym. I, self-Lord, am master of my destiny. That's the Islam that I follow. But I worship my Lord. I worship my Lord. I don't cave into none of this BS that I see, all of this infighting that's going on social media. But I stand with the God that I know because he's real and he's here. And with that, I say, my name is Chief Eagle Spirit Dancing. Peace and blessings to my family. And until we meet again. Thank you. Okay. Where is this thing at? Okay. How do I close this thing now? This thing is different.